Hey guys, it's Jack here. Today we're going to be going into my dark fantasy world of Everdusk. Lord of the Rings, Chronicles of Narnia, Castlevania, Empire the Vampire. Not only that, but we're going to talk about how I amassed a following of almost 1 million people from right here in this little studio. So hang on tight, sharpen your fangs. Let's do this. Intro. So how did this all come to be? How did a guy from New York, a stay-at-home dad, become the vampire king of TikTok? Let's go over it. Wait. About 5 years ago, I had started a home game for Vampire the Masquerade. Yes, I am a gamer. I am a TTRPGer and I am a role player. 100%, I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd through and through. You'll learn about it on my Twitch. Make sure you're following. If you're not, we have a lot of games coming, a lot of streams. Some fun surprises in there too. So 5 years ago, playing Vampire the Masquerade, and I created my character. My first VTM character ever in my first home game ever. Named Jack. Jack had all of my qualities, yes, but I also gave him all of my trauma. I gave him all of my trauma, a lot of my life experiences, and I played this character religiously for a long time. I told a lot of his story behind the DM screen and at the table. I thought about Jack a lot, and I thought about how I could take him higher. VTM was a great start. Anyone wanting to create a fantasy universe for themselves, or just wanting to write a story about a character, tabletop is such an underrated tool. Roleplay is such an underrated tool. Forums, World of Warcraft was really great for me. Dungeons and Dragons, VTM. It's a great way for you to live in your character's shoes. About living in my character's shoes. So I played out a lot of his story, or his early life story, in my VTM campaign. And I started to wonder more about Jack's life. And I understood a lot about the character, but when he really came to life was when I took the story to TikTok. Yes, I had worked on Jack on some apps in the past. I had done Smool, I had done Instagram, I had used him for modeling as a kind of like muse for
Duffy is my muse, and
for the way I would kind of tell my story through pictures as well as audio dramas. But I wanted something more. And I saw these amazing actors on TikTok. And yes, they are actors. As much as people out there want to discredit TikTokers, I will tell you right now, if you have not tried it, do not knock it. It is legitimate acting. It very much is. Improv counts. There is a lot of planning that goes into these things. And a lot of times it is in the darkness of your tiny little room in front of a black box with no one else to play off of. That is exactly what I did on TikTok. I saw these amazing actors and I went, I want to do that. This seems amazing. This seems so cool. This is a great way to show people this character and this world that I'm creating. So I very, very bravely, but admittedly, I was terrified because I was worried that people weren't going to like my character or like what I was doing. Completely dressed up, donning the eye fangs, Jack Townson's iconic red markings. And I stood in front of my little phone in my office here. And I made my first few videos and I was terrified out of my mind. But what I was surprised about was that people really enjoyed what I did. I remember when I first hit like 1,000 likes, I was like, what is going on? What is happening here? Do people really vibe with this? And they did.
I'm obsessed with him, maybe, actually. I think you guys need to be obsessed with him the way that I am.
I then started to really craft who the character was, what his world was, and started to meet the most amazing people I have ever met. Amazing people that are so creative and so talented. I'm beyond lucky to know them. My amazing community that I cultivated on TikTok and all over the internet, called the Fang Fam. There are also some things that were a little rough with TikTok, and I will eventually do a full-on breakdown of my TikTok experience very, very soon. But that's neither here or there. This is about the positive. From meeting these amazing people, I did something that no other author, from what I know, has ever done. I invited them to walk in my world with me. I invited them to make characters, to create with me, and to tell this story at my side. I took the idea of storytelling to a much larger place, where instead of sitting behind a screen or at a table, well, technically it is behind a screen, behind a storyteller or DM screen, I took it to behind a phone screen, and I spun these tales for everyone to react to and everyone to be involved with, and it was the most creative back and forth improv acting experiment. And it proved extremely, extremely successful. There were so many people that were awakened by this process, that jumped to play in this world and to dress up as well. And it was the coolest experience. It has been the coolest experience in my life. And it's such an honor to have these people doing this with me. It made me really think about the world where Jack hails. Well, that's where we get to Fame. Because my first book was Fame Has Its Price, which was, if you don't know, and this is for the new people, because my people know this story. Fame was Jack sitting down in this place far away, in this world away from our world, and telling you how he was once a young vampire in New York City, and how he fell into the clutches of a devious, devilish, and gorgeous vampire named Alexander Lamont. About his trials and tribulations and his traumas at the hands of the man that created the iconic makeup that he wears. Fame is that story, but there was a large missing piece. What is the other world? Everdusk is the title of the book series that takes place in my world of Draconia. So now we have to go into it. We have to go into it before we go anywhere else. What is Draconia? Draconia is the first world. It was a world created by beings, these celestials, that were the dragons. Born of their love and of their lifeblood, to be the first place that they would experiment to create life. There's a lot of lore I can't go into, but what I can say is, because this is the large mystery, about how we got here and how Draconia came to be in the state that it's in when we find it. Something went wrong. And in that wrong, in that chaos, in that darkness, the first vampire was created. And from him, the rest were made. Draconia fell into darkness, its sun plucked from the skies, burdened to forever be stuck in a perpetual state of Everdusk. This world, this massive fantasy world, which is very akin to Lord of the Rings, Chronicles of Narnia, Castlevania, Empire the Vampire, if you're a fan of that as well. This world is not only home to vampires, but to humans, dwarves, goblins, a myriad of different elves, fae folk, witches, wizards, necromancers, ogres, and more. It is the greatest thing I have ever made, and the proudest thing I've ever worked on. This book series, I am so happy to get out to you guys, because it is, man, it is cool. It is freaking cool. It is what I always dreamed of doing, and what I always wanted from a fantasy series when I was younger. Like, I am a huge nerd and a huge cinephile, a big gamer. And like Witcher, Skyrim, games like that. And I always looked around and went, Why aren't there more vampires? Why hell are there not more vampires? Vampires are such an interesting species. It's such an interesting affliction that is not explored enough in these series. And I went, screw it. I'm going to make that thing. That is what it is. That is what I'm going to do. And that is part of how Draconia came to be. It is my dark fantasy magnum opus full of unique vampire lore that I have worked my ass off on and was completely fortunate to have an amazing community behind me to help me consider and dream up this world. Without them, none of this exists. So this is my love note to you. Everdusk, we start with Everdusk Lightslayer, is a love note to my incredible Fang Fam community over on TikTok. God, I can't wait for you guys to see, because the coolest part about it is that the people that I roleplayed with, that helped me tell this story, I took them into the world with me. But not only in front of the phone, I also involved them in the book. Yes, their characters are immortalized in this book series. And I think that's how we do this so much differently than other authors and other people, any creators. We have truly found a way to involve these people that deserve to have their characters be seen. And I can't thank them enough for letting me use them and letting me tell their stories on the pages. So where does Jack find himself in this world of Draconia? After the events of New York, we find him 3 years into his journey. And when we find him, he not only is not alone, but he is the head of a household called the Manor of Mystery. He is a lord, and in the vampiric circles, they consider him a king. The reason they consider him a king is because this Manor of Mystery that he lives in with his degenerates, with his people, is a font of magical power. Something that was thought unable to be claimed. But for some reason, chose him. And that has given him the title of Vampire King. Specifically of the South. Other than being me, or influenced by me, Jack is influenced by characters like Alucard from Hellsing, like Geralt of Rivia from The Witcher, Master Chief, Doomslayer. He very much is partially a power fantasy, but more, he's like us. He's not this 1,000, 10,000 year old being that has no relatability. He's a kid from New York. He is a millennial vampire trying to figure out how to make this life work. All of the pain, all of the trauma, and all of the life lessons of an undead existence are still there for him to explore. I always saw vampire stories, and I'm always like, whoa, well, the guy's 300 years old. I mean, how much room are you really going to grow at that point? Like, maybe you'll learn a thing or two. But really, in my opinion, you've lived a lot of life. Being a vampire doesn't mean that you have to be 400, 500 years old. You could be a fledgling. You could be recently turned. You could be 20 years into the game. Maybe even 100. The character development is the most important thing. So even though Jack walks around and he has this power that nobody can understand, that he's incredibly fast, strong, and dangerous, he still wears the scars of his trauma painted on his face. He still stumbles, and he still has to learn, and we get to learn with him. It is a huge, huge narrative about mental health and about how important it is to have friends around you and people to build you up and to guide you along the way. Jack is us. And I'm so proud of this character that I've made. And I can't wait for you guys to learn about him in Everdusk and to see where he is from New York. With that said, please go and consider getting Everdusk, pre-ordering it. Everdusk, the Lightslayer! Thank you for hanging out with me while I drink my tea. Yes, I still have the tag. Don't yell at me. But please make sure that you are subscribing, following, liking, commenting. Make sure you're sharing this around. We are trying to grow on YouTube because of the TikTok situation and because it's time. You know, we want a YouTube family here too. No, not in a cult kind of way. I mean, unless
the cult that I'm in is the cult.
want it to be, but that's neither here or there. Please make sure you are doing all of the amazing social media things, and please go follow on Twitch. I'm going to be streaming very, very soon. Shane is going to be streaming too. We're going to be doing joint streams as well. We're going to be doing live action role play. Yes, we're announcing it here first. Live action role play. We are going to be doing podcast talks, normal hangout lives, as well as game streaming. Speaking of game streaming, the next video I have on my docket, I really want to tell you about because I'm excited about it. I'm going to be voice acting for fun. I wish officially. I mean, Blizzard, if you want to do that. I'm going to be voice acting 2 characters from World of Warcraft because my partner, Shane, thinks I remind her of them.
Daddy, chill.
Either way, you are not prepared. I'll catch you guys in the next one. And I'll see you all across the haunted veil.